स्वादयन्निह सर्वेषाम् त्रय्यन्तार्थम् सुदुर्ग्रहम् स्तोत्रयामास योगीन्द्रः तम् वन्दे यामुनाह्वयम्। नमो नमो यामुनाय यामुनाय नमो नमः। नमो नमो यामुनाय यामुनाय नमो नमः। यत्पदाम्भोरुहध्यान विध्वस्ताशेषकल्मषः वस्तुतामुपयातोऽहम् यामुनेयम् नमामि तम्। स्वधर्मज्ञानवैराग्य साध्यभक्त्येकगोचरः नारायणः परम् ब्रह्म गीताशास्त्रे समीरितः। श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्ताम् सदा हृदि।
So I wanted to just to say about only one word in the 11th verse of the Vishnu Sahasranam, already referred to. Ajas Sarveshwara Siddhaha. Of course, the first two words, Ajaha and Sarveshwara, were already given the meaning. And the Siddha, of course, I gave you one meaning. The second meaning of the word Siddhaha will be what we call very famous. Siddhaha famous, Prasiddhaha will be very famous. So Siddha is famous. Of course, we understood already Siddhaha means a ready goal available. A ready goal available. So it's a final goal. And also the meaning of Siddhaha will be he has a lot of achievements to his credit. He has achieved all that he wanted to achieve. So the achievement is a person of achievement, all achievement. That was meant by Siddhaha. So later on, I would like to give you also the Bhagavatam, Bhagavata Mahatmyam, the greatness of the Bhagavatam, which we already saw as one of the 4 books, and it was called Amalam Bhagavatam or Vimalam Bhagavatam, the purity of the Bhagavatam. Of course, Mahabharatam, Bhagavad Gita, they were referred to. So let us now go to the verse number 5. Sometimes what we spell differently is also meaningful. It is also Shastravatarana here because Arjuna is going to take up weapons. Missiles. Shastra is missile. Shastra Avataranam. So Shastravatanam. That will be interesting change. Next,
so is that an actual alternate reading? That's an alternate reading to the long and short A, Shastra meaning scripture and Shastra meaning weapon?
Missiles, yeah. Weapons.
Okay.
Okay. Next paragraph. So we saw
this is the previous paragraph.
Earlier, 32 we saw, and 33 also. Can we go to 34? Okay. So evam asthane samupasthita sneha karunyabhyam aprakritingatam kshatriyanam uddham parama dharmam api adharmam manvanam dharma bubutsaya cha sharanagatam partham uddishya atma yathatmya jnanena yuddhasya phala abhisandhi rahitasya atma prapti upayata ajnanena or upayata jnanena cha vina asya mohaha mohaha. The Vidarga is missing because of conjunction. It is not a mistake. Na shamyati iti matva bhagavata paramapurushena adhyatma shastravasaranam kritam. Taduktam asthana sneha karunya dharma dharma dhiya akulam partham prapannam uddishya shastravasaranam. So in this paragraph, what is Shastravataranam? So why should the Shastravataranam has been made? Why should we rather bring, can we say unload Shastravataranam, bring down Shastra, in the sense, bring down in the sense to make Arjuna understand what is Shastra, what Shastra is. Sorry. So evam, in this way, asthane, in the wrong place, out of place, samupasthita sneha karunyabhyam. There are two emotional feelings of Arjuna. So they are imminent now. Samupasthita is imminent now. They are at hand, about to be executed. The sneha, the affection, the filial affection towards the cousins, karunyam, the pity, sympathy, you can also say regard, respect for elders, relatives, cousins, and so on. And also the pity over the imminent death of those people. Of course, death of the body, as we say philosophically. So all the 11 Akshaurinis of Kauravas and all the 7 Akshaurinis of Pandavas, all will be slain, all will be killed. So there is no victory over, the death over only one party, but both. Because Lord Krishna has promised that only the 5 Pandavas will remain and not anybody else. That doesn't mean, of course, all the people of the country are killed. Only the soldiers, only those kings who have come along with these 2 parties, 2 sides. So, samupasthita sneha karunyabhyam aprakritim gatam. This is now unnatural. It is unnatural at this stage to feel affection towards the enemies who have taken up their weapons. So no sympathy is needed to be shown to the opposite sides, opposite opponents. So Kshatriyanam Yudham, so normally as we said that the duty of a royal family, a royal person will be to fight. It is dharma, Kshatriya dharma as well as pastime. It is also a leisure pursuit. So Kshatriyanam Yudham, the war of a royal member, Parama dharmam api adharmam manvanam. Even though it is the most important duty, Parama dharmam. You should not read it as Param adharmam. You can also read it as Param adharma. That is the beauty in Sanskrit. So it is not Param adharmam, but it is Parama dharmam. So though it is the most important duty or the highest duty to be performed by a member of the royal family, so Parama dharmam api adharmam manvanam. Now King Arjuna feels that he should not fight. He should not fight with the enemies. He feels that he should not fight because it is understood by him as injustice done to the enemy. And because he has affection towards his own relatives, cousins, rather uncles, he's a big uncle, we say, the big uncle's sons, Periyappa we say in Tamil, big father. So he thinks that killing them will be a disaster. He also says in the first chapter, if I kill all of them, then where is the kingdom for me to rule? Where are the subjects for me to rule over? I become a king of the kingdom, but are there subjects? No, nobody will be there. Everybody is killed. The population is not there. The citizens are not there. Therefore, why should I fight? So basically, he questions his own beautiful nature. He doesn't want to perform the duty. That means he fails in karma yoga. That is the meaning of this word. Adharmam manvana. Then dharma bubutsaya. He must be interested, he must get interested again in performing the duty, dharma. So dharma, so this is the now task of Lord Krishna. So bodhum ichaya bubutsaya. Now he has a desire to teach him what is dharma. Bodhum. Bodhum means make him learn. Icha is desire. So bubutsaya, with a desire to make him learn. I mean with a desire to teach Arjuna what dharma is. So dharma bubutsaya cha. So not only to remove the wrong thoughts of Arjuna that the fighting is to be avoided. It is the most important duty that he has to perform. Whenever there is an opportunity to fight, a king should not avoid it. So also while playing a gambling game, if some other king invites another king to play a game of dice, he must accept the invitation. He cannot refuse the invitation. He cannot deny the invitation. So here, so there are 2 points to say. To instruct him to perform the duty, and he must also know what is dharma in general, not only for the kings but also for the entire society. He must know his own dharma, the sense of duty, plus others' sense of duty. So for both purposes, for making him understand that his approach is wrong, bad, etc. And again, at the right moment, he must not fail to fight with the enemies. Then dharma bubutsaya. The dharma is sadharana dharma, a common polity. Common polity. Whereas special polity is he has to fight for himself and his brothers against the enemy. Now, what has he done? What has Arjuna done? Saranagatam. So he has surrendered to the Lord. Partham, so Arjuna. Again, reminding of the mother's name. So she is also a bold lady. Kunti is a very bold lady. She praises Lord Krishna at the end of all this war, and she says, "Oh Lord Krishna, you have helped me a lot. You have helped my family a lot. You have saved us from lot of disasters, so many accidents, so many catastrophes. You have saved us from very difficult catastrophes which we had to undergo. But now, please sever the link between me and my children. I don't want to have any connection linked with my children. Pasam chindhi, he said. I don't want to have any other any other connection, any connection with my offsprings. Very, very intelligent lady. And she knows the highest philosophy. She only prayed to Lord Krishna as Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Devaki Nandanaya cha, Nanda Gopa Kumaraya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. The very famous prayer only by Kunti. Only by Kunti. We have to read Kunti Stuti in Bhagavatam, in the initial chapters, within the first 3 or 4 chapters. You remember Kunti Stuti. And another very disturbing, perhaps wonderful feature of Kunti Stuti will be, she says, I want to invite troubles. I want to invite troubles. I want to welcome troubles. Therefore, I will remember you, O Lord Krishna. I can remember you only when I get into difficulty. When I get into trouble, I will remember you very easily. Therefore, I think I will just tell you the exact wording. Shashwat, she is using the word Shashwat. Often. I think I'll tell you. Shashwat Vipadaha Santu. Vipadaha Santu. Tamil word is accident, Vibat. Vipat is Sanskrit word. So Vipadaha Santu Shashwat. Often I must have lot of accidents, lot of troubles. Is there anyone else in the world except this particular lady who has asked for such a boon? It looks like a very bad boon demanded from Lord Krishna. We always ask Sampada Santu. Sampada Santu, we all want prosperity. We all always want positive advantages. But she is saying, Shashwataha Vipadasam. Shashwata Vipadasam. Frequently I must get into trouble. Then I will remember you. But now cut the connection between me and the children. Such a good lady, her son Partham. Then Partham Uddishya towards the king Arjuna. So Atma Yathatmya Jnanena. Again, the word dharma includes Atma Yathatmya Jnanena. Otherwise, you can say Jnana Yoga is now important to Arjuna. Of course, in the second 6 chapters, and here we are talking about the first chapter. Why Lord Krishna started teaching Arjuna and so on. So Atma Yathatmya Jnanena, in order to make him understand the true form really of the Lord Almighty. So Yuddhasya Phala Abhisandhi Rahitasya Atma Praptyupayata Ajnanacha Vina. Okay. So Abhisi Phala Yuddhasya Phala Abhisandhi Rahitasya. Now we understand Arjuna is also highly philosophical. When he asked the Lord, he said in the first chapter, what pleasure that he will gain or receive or experience when all the people in the country are killed. Kimno Rajyena Govinda, Kim Bhoge Jivitena Va in the first chapter. What is the use of my experiencing the worldly pleasures without the people? Why should I live? Kim Bhoge Jivitena Va. Kinno Rajyena Govinda. What is the use of the kingdom without the people? Out of the 7 parts of a kingdom, the people must be there. Without people, it will be a forest. Not even with the animals. So it will be a bare land. It will be a desert. So what is the use of my kingship when there is no living being in this kingdom? So that is the question that he asked. There are so many questions in the first chapter. So of course, Gita Sangraha of Sri Yamunacharya puts it in a nutshell in a very short form. Piti verses we say, P-I-T-H-Y. Piti verses that we understand. Now, how is Arjuna philosophical? Phala abhisandhi rahitasya. Now he understands a little dharma. After performing the duty, what should we expect from performing our duty? Again, in the second chapter that we understand the famous quote, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Now Arjuna is able to understand that he has the attitude of ma phaleshu kadachana adhikaraha asti. He has no right to demand. He has no what we call stakehold. He is not a stakeholder on the result of the war. So phala result, phala fruit. Either it is positive or negative, phala will be either fruit or consequence. Then abhisandhi is attachment. Rahitasya, he is now without. So in the war, he is not interested now. Therefore, he is not interested in the war's fruit also. The consequence of the war, the good result of the war. In both, neither the bad result of the war nor the good effect of the war, he is now not interested. He is disinterested. He is indifferent towards the result of the war. So, yuddhasya phala abhisandhi rahitasya. Then, atma prapti upayata jnanena. You can also interpret it in different way by splitting in different way. One will be irrelevant, but I wanted to convey to you the beauty in Sanskrit. So, atma prapti upayata jnanena. So, in order to give him the wisdom to understand that there are means to reach the Supreme Soul. The means, again, we remind ourselves in the previous discussion that Lord Almighty Himself is the means to attain the goal, namely Lord. So, Atma Prapti Upayata Jnanena. So, again, you can say Atma Prapti Upayata Ajnanena. So, that will be, of course, out of place here. Asthana Arthaha, we can say. It is not here as ignorance of the means to reach the Supreme Soul. Now we can understand that Arjuna is now ignorant of reaching the ignorant of the means of reaching the final goal, namely the Lord. He doesn't understand now how to reach Lord Krishna, or how to understand, or how to get the wisdom, the spiritual wisdom, the highest wisdom to understand who Krishna is. Though Krishna is his very close friend, he must have Atma Yathatma Jnanam plus Atma Prapti Upayata Jnanam. But both are not there now. That's why he says, I don't want to fight. Now take it in this sense. Atma Prapti Upayata Jnanena Vina. Now the word Vina is here, without. In Hindi also we use the word Bina. Instead of Vina, we have the word Bina. So Vina, without. So without the knowledge, without the wisdom of the means, so wisdom of what the means is to achieve the Supreme Soul, rather the salvation, you can say. So Atma Prapti Upayata Jnanena Vina, without acquiring the knowledge or the wisdom or Brahma Jnanam, you can say that the Lord Himself is the means of reaching Him, reaching capital Him. Asya mohaha na shamyati. Asya, namely Arjunasya, of this fellow, namely Arjuna, mohaha, the confusion, na shamyati, doesn't get appeased, doesn't get deleted. So moha, the confusion does not go away from Arjuna. Na shamyati iti. Matva, thinking. So that means Lord is making a sankalpaha, decision. Then Bhagavata Paramapurushena, Lord, Bhagavata, the Lord who is omniscient, omnipotent and omnipresent. So Paramapurushena is the highest primordial being, primordial person. So Adhyatma Shastra Avataranam. It is Lord Krishna's blessing that he is going to teach Arjuna, and through Arjuna, all the people, all the living beings, with regard to Adhyatma Shastra. Adhyatma Shastram is otherwise called Shariraka Shastram by others, the preceptors like Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya and others, all other great preceptors. Then Adhyatma Shastram is the science which teaches us what is, who Almighty is, who Paramapurusha is, who Bhagavan is, who the Lord omnipresent, omniscient and omnipresent is. Therefore, now it has been downloaded. So now Arjuna is being taught now from the very second chapter. First chapter contains a lot of questions from Arjuna. The answers are given through the Shastras, through the eye of the Shastras, through the windows of the Shastras. And then that is why see Gitartha Sangraha of Sri Yamunacharya says the same verse. He has Swami Vedanta Deshika quotes again the 2 lines of Gitartha Sangraha, which already we have seen. Now over to the participant.
So, Swami, here in this page of the commentary, basically, it's just he's just reiterating the first of all the position of Arjuna, that Arjuna has these 2 characteristics present in the first chapter, Shneya and Karunya. Shneha and Karunya.
Karunya.
Yeah. Then he says that then he speaks about how the greatest dharma for a Kshatriya is to engage in battle. But how Arjuna thinks that this engaging in battle or fighting is actually adharma. So he's become confused and he's thinking that dharma is adharma. Then Vedanta Deshika is talking about two types of knowledge. He's saying that Krishna therefore speaks the Gita to Arjuna for gaining 2 types of knowledge. And the first type of knowledge he mentions is the atmatyatma jnanena, right? The knowledge of the Supreme Self, and then also the knowledge of how to attain the Supreme. So the upaya, or the means. So it seems like that knowledge of the means has to come before the knowledge of the Supreme Self. Anyhow, so then basically, I'm not quite sure why in this particular section, Vedantadeshika repeats the actual Mula Sloka at the end. Can you explain why he would just repeat it, or just for emphasis, or what?
Yeah, for emphasis. This is reiteration.
Okay, so then this then he calls this he gives a name to this this scripture as Adhyatma Shastra. So sometimes we hear this word Adhyatma. So maybe you could expound upon the meaning of Adhyatma, because we hear about Valmiki Ramayana, and then we hear about Adhyatma Ramayana. So what is the difference between Valmiki Ramayana and Adhyatma Ramayana? Or what is the difference between some normal Shastra that we read and another Shastra which is specifically stated to be Adhyatmika or Adhyatma?
Now, Valmiki Ramayana the title tells you the name of the author there. The Adhyatma Ramayana tells you the content of the Ramayana, Adhyatma Ramayana. Here, Adhyatma Shastra. Atma, now you can say, is an individual soul. Adhyatma, supreme soul. Adhi is one which overtakes, one which is above. Adhyatma will be the supreme soul, the higher soul, you can say. Of course, we call him a highest soul. So there is no one above him. There is no one equal to him. So Adhyatma is generally, you can say, as Vedanta Shastra. Vedanta Shastra, again, Vedanta meaning Veda, scripture, Vedanta is Upanishad. Upanishad is Jnana Kandam, and therefore the Jnana, the spiritual knowledge that the Upanishads give us is about Brahman, about Almighty. It's called Brahma Jnana. Otherwise called Brahma Shastra, Brahma Jnana Shastra. Adhyatma Shastra is otherwise known as Supreme Soul's sign. The signs of, I think we say it in some English as metaphysics, philosophy, the highest philosophy. The highest philosophy is understanding the Almighty as omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient, with all the auspicious qualities, endless in number, and so on in our, especially Vaishnava, Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. And that is called Adhyatma Shastra. Atma is soul. If you refer that word to individual soul, the Adhyatma will be supreme soul. Adhyatma is what otherwise called Brahma Jnana Shastram. Otherwise called Shariraka Shastram. Adhyatma Ramayanam in that case, because it is an Adi Kavyam, Adhyatma is philosophical interpretation of the incidents in the Ramayana. And an example will be 10 heads of Ravana. If anybody is surprised over how can there be 10 heads? So the 10 heads are equal to or similar to the 10 Indriyas, Karmendriyas 5 and Jnanendriyas 5. So that is the explanation in philosophical terms. And Sita is the Jivatma, the individual soul. Hanuman is the Acharya, the preceptor. Paramatma is Rama. The Jivatma is away, now 9 months away from the Paramatma. Rama and Sita are separated because of the 10 Indriyas, including the 11th Indriya, Manas, of Ravana. He has separated these two. So separate the sense organs, interested in only worldly things, did not care about Paramatma. Therefore, Jivatma goes away from Paramatma. Then Paramatma himself is taking pity on the Jivatma. He approaches Sri Lanka from Ayodhya. So philosophically speaking, Paramatma is blessing the Jivatma with a knowledge, with a knowledge of the Brahman to understand. And you will understand the conversation between Sita and Hanuman will be a revelation of the philosophy. Sita is asking, Hanuman gets himself introduced to Sita with a lot of thinking, with a lot of reservation. And Sita is asking questions about the welfare of and whereabouts of Rama. Meaning the longing of the individual soul to attain the supreme soul. The yearning, yearning, the yearning of the individual soul, it is created by Hanuman. Hanuman becomes the preceptor, the link between the individual soul and the supreme soul. Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya needs a preceptor to make an individual soul a prapanna, and then make him lead to or join the Supreme Soul. So these are all what we call different philosophical interpretations of a Ramayana, a story, which normally is to be understood by children in a different way, by adults in a different way, by prapannas in a different way. Actually, Ramayana is otherwise called Sharanagati Shastram. Sharanagati Shastram. It is not even called Adhyatma Shastram. It is Sharanagati Shastram. The total surrender is the main subject of Ramayana. If in this way the story is given to the children may not get interested. And therefore, we are also children if we have no maturity to understand the highest philosophy of Almighty. Therefore, when you see the actions of Rama, for example, while sending Shabari, an old lady who has been serving a sage, Matanga Maharishi, in the forest, faithfully, very sincerely, he sends her to what we call Acharya Loka. There is something called a world of preceptors. She doesn't want to go to heaven. She didn't want to go to heaven. She didn't want to go to Vaikuntham, the headquarters. She didn't want to go to any other loka like Lord Brahma's Satya Lokam, the world of truth of the Lord Creator, nor Kailasam of Lord Shiva. So nowhere else except he wants to serve the preceptor even in the next world. So she is sent. So he says, Rama says to her, Gaccha Anuttaman Lokan, the best world. What will be the best world? It is preceptor's world, not even God's world. So that is the God's universe. Here another instance how Rama is acting. He performs the last rites, what we call obsequies for Jatayu, a bird who was the friend of his father, Dasharatha. And therefore, again, when performing the ablutions of Jatayu, then he also makes him go to Vaikuntham direct without any, where we understand Rama is not an ordinary human being. He is a God there. So there are so many instances where he shows himself, of course, in a subtle way. And that subtlety is what we call the essence of the Ramayana, namely Adhyatma Ramayana. We have got Narada's Ramayanam, then you have Ananda Ramayanam, and so on. Very different interpretations of the highest philosophy should lead us to understanding the spiritual wisdom. That's the purpose of Adhyatma Ramayana. The word Adhyatma meaning something above the individual soul, meaning the highest soul.
Okay, so sometimes we have in the same time, sometimes we have commentators talking about the Gita, and they talk about Lord Krishna being the Paramatma, and Arjuna being the Atma, the Jivatma, and the chariot being the body, and the horses being the senses, and even the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Kshetra being the body actually, and different personalities being different indriyas, and these sort of things. So these are all analogies to highlight some adhyatmika understanding of the text. So what you're saying is that there's a literal understanding, which the children are reading. A nice story about a battle, or a nice story about Rama in the forest, and then there's a different inner meaning, or an analogy, which all of these things have different specific meanings, spiritual meanings that can be brought out, and sometimes that's brought out by the commentator, and sometimes it's a separate text, like in the case of Adhyatma Ramayana. So can you say something about each one of the personalities in the Gita and the Gita itself? There are some commentators who are saying this is all an analogy. The whole thing is analogy. There was never a battle. There was never a person like Krishna and Arjuna. But it's all an analogy, just to tell us about the soul and about God and the body. So there are some people who speak like this. So I think Sri Vaishnavas, we believe it's that we understand the literal meaning, the historical meaning, but also we understand the adhyatmika meaning also. Can you say something about the meanings of the chariot and the horses and the battlefield and all these things, the adhyatmic meaning?
You have already said it with an introduction, with a little introduction. So here, as you say, there may be people believing that there was no war. It happened only in dream or something like that. So it is false, you can say false. But in order to teach spiritual wisdom, the Bhagavad Gita is created by, say, Lord himself, Vyasa, Veda Vyasa. Now, such proposition or such thought or such opinion about the analogy may lead to some confusion. Therefore, practically speaking, we must understand there was a war. Today also, the atheist question: how do you know that there was one Rama living in Treta Yuga and so on? How can you believe Valmiki Ramayana, whether Rama lived or not, whether Rama was an incarnation of God? So such beliefs will be, I think it will be wrong to say there was no war, no Lord Krishna, no Arjuna existed before, and so on. That will be, of course, an atheist approach. That is to, of course, confuse the entire world. Whereas Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya takes it as, everything is real. This world is real. You and I are real. We are not false. The Jagan Mithya. We are not in the world which is a false, rather of no existence. It is existing. The creation is as real as the Lord. It is not permanent it's not permanent, but it frequently comes out. The creation, of course, the science theory is proved here. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So that will be the basics for the creation also, the universal creation, the creation of the universe. So the universe is real. The whole world is real. And therefore, Mahabharata war happened according to our belief. It doesn't mean there is only a book to say some stories, cock and bull stories.
Right. So the Lord comes and there's a literal war and there are literal discussion of Bhagavad Gita between Arjuna and Krishna, but at the same time, each and every one of the participants and the statements made by the Lord and by Arjuna, they all have very important inner meanings as well as external meanings.
Yeah.
So Arjuna also in the first chapter, he brings up this point about if he fights, that the society is going to be destroyed because all the men will be killed and the women will be unprotected, right? And then there will be Vanasankara. There will be unwanted progeny if the women are taken advantage of. There'll be unwanted progeny by unscrupulous people, unscrupulous men, and that will ruin society. But actually, Krishna rejects this argument. So can you say, I mean, this is a pretty good argument. Why does Krishna reject this argument? It seems to be a dharmic argument that Arjuna is saying that the women will be, if I fight the war, then all the men will be killed, all the husbands will be killed, the wives will all be widows, and they'll have no one to protect them, and then unscrupulous people will take advantage of them, and we'll end up having mixed progeny. We'll have all this Vanasankara, and it will destroy society. So that sounds like a very dharmic argument. Why is that rejected by Krishna?
Okay. Any answer from the participants?
I think that's a very valid question, Swami. I also feel that I need answers for that too. A very, very good question.
How about Govindacharya Swami? Or what do you think on this idea? Or even yeah. What is your idea on Keshav Swami's thoughts?
You mean with respect? Okay, 1 second.
Yeah.
You mean with respect to the being if Bhagavad Gita war is true or not true?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I have full faith that it was true.
No. He's talking about the results of the war, the consequence of the war.
The consequences of the war.
Yeah.
Well, I pretty much with respect to no, sorry, my wife also intervened. The consequences of the war. I'm not sure what I'm not sure what to say at the moment, to be honest. As far as I understand, we take the consequences of the war as fact, and the whole point of what the wives of, I'm not really sure at the moment. I can't really comment at the moment, to be honest. Sorry about that.
Malini madam. Any feedback from you?
I think if the Lord is in charge, I think he is going to make a way. If Lord Krishna decides on something, he's going to have a way in which that progeny or protection can come about. Isn't it? Did you hear me?
Now,
Okay, so maybe I should say something about my idea of why. First of all, Arjuna, the very first thing that Krishna starts to tell him is that you are not the body, that you are the soul, and that he's only thinking in terms of body. And the Varnashram system has to do with the body, and the social system has to do with the body. And if we're thinking that the men are being killed and the women are unprotected, this all has to do with the body. And Krishna later on says, Pandita Samadarshanaha, that the Pandit, a real learned person, sees everything equal, sees also the animals, also the plants, all the living beings as equal. On a spiritual level, everybody is equal. So don't think that there are these different levels and that this one is protecting that one. Or so he wants Arjuna to think in a completely different way. He wants him to look in a completely different way. He wants him to look at everything from a spiritual point of view. And from a spiritual point of view, the only thing which is important is to attain the Lord. And the only way to do that is to surrender to what the Lord says. In this particular case, the Lord is telling Arjuna to do his duty and go and fight in the battle. But it doesn't really matter what his duty is. His ultimate duty is to just do what Krishna tells him to do. So without worrying what the result is going to be, he's worried about the result. And Krishna, first of all, wants to stop him from thinking about the result. If the result is a kingdom with nobody in the kingdom, everybody's dead, and only Arjuna is sitting there with the Pandavas and they're ruling and nobody's there, that's the result. But he should not be attached to the result. He is starting off, as Vedanta Deshika says here, he's starting off being attached to the result. And Krishna says, no, don't be attached to the result. Give up your attachment for the result. So this argument by Arjuna has to do with the result of the battle. But Krishna says, forget about the result. Concentrate on the goal and how to reach the goal. And the result, that is all lokika. That is all social and has to do with the body. And what I'm first going to tell you is the body is not important because it's temporary and because it's a source of misery. And no matter what you do, there's going to be birth, there's going to be janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, all these four things are going to be there, no matter what you do. And ultimately, I've killed all these people already. So your weakness of heart and your tension about all this happening is just an illusion because you're thinking only in terms of the body. So stop that. So that's why he starts out with the Dehenoshmin Yata Dehe, teaching about the body and the soul. Anyway, that's my idea.
No, here, just to give you the feedback, generally, a war results in a lot of deaths of the soldiers, and consequently, the families without a leader, and ladies becoming widows. And the purpose of a king in fighting with the enemy is to make the ladies of the soldiers weep, and the water of the tears falling down on their body. That is the normal result of, or a bad consequence, you can say, of any war. For example, a book called Kadambari. The word Kadambari is a prose work by Bana Bhatta. Gives you the first verse in the story. There are 20 verses before the story as a sort of prayer and appreciation of a lot of great poets like Kalidasa, etc. Banabhatta is a very great prose writer, and he has written 2 books, whereas all other prose writers have given each only 1 book. This is the greatness of Banabhatta. Banabhatta is also very efficient, of course. Since he wrote 2 prose works, there is a proverb in Sanskrit: prose is difficult to write, prose is difficult to compose, whereas poetry is easier. And therefore, we say writing prose is the testing stone for the poet's skill. Of course, Banabhatta excelled in the skill, and then he writes this particular verse, which where in a war, the king, the winning king, makes the ladies of the enemies weep. That is normal. Now, you know the purpose of Lord Krishna's incarnation. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. So please remember that the society doesn't consist of only Duryodhana, 100 brothers, and his 11 Akshavinis. The 11 Akshavinis were the creations of Lord Krishna in order to help Duryodhana, who sought his help second to Arjuna. Arjuna was seen first. Arjuna was offered the first help. Arjuna said, I want you to come with me. That's all. I don't want anything else. I don't want even an army. So in spite of his not asking for army, Lord Krishna gave him the gift of 7 Akshavinis. Meaning, that doesn't mean, as Arjuna, as you said, getting attached very much to the result, consequence of the war. He actually misunderstood that all the people in the kingdom will be killed. No. The 7 Akshavinis, meaning the soldiers, of course, a big and particular number of the soldiers, elephants, horses, and the chariot, and also of this side 11 Akshavinis. They are only a small part of the entire society, where the society has a lot of good people. Good people are there. For example, I'm not exaggerating. When there is a war, when the war is being planned, what do? Is both parties, both the what you call the kings who fight with each other, make sure that the children of the society, the cows of the society, cows in the kingdom, women of the society, and elders of the society are exempted from this war. They are given a safe stay. They are given a safe stay. And again, a place is chosen out of the city, out of the town, out of the village, specially chosen for the fight, the battlefield. The battlefield is Kurukshetram here. Kurukshetram, as you said, our body is the Kurukshetram. Our body is there is an in-fight here with the 6 enemies: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. The uncouth desire, Kama, Krodha, the fury, Moha, the confusion, Mada is the pride, the sense of insolence, Matsarya, the jealousy, Lobha, the greed. So all these 6 enemies are there in the Kurukshetram, namely our body. That is different, philosophically speaking. So then the fight between Arjuna and Duryodhana does not mean there are no people in the country. He imagines there are no people in the country. What is the use of my kingdom when I am a king of no people? So that is one thing. Therefore, widows, if you take it as widows, again, they are less in number compared to the women in the society, compared to the number of women in the society. Now, even then, when you take the what we call to support the widows, what will happen to the widows if they have no children, no one else to support? They will be left in a lurch, and therefore the society will take care of the widows. The total society will take care of the widows. And the widow, because they were the wives of the bad people, they are bound to suffer also. They are bound to suffer also. So the suffering of the widows cannot be prevented also, cannot be rectified also. Their children, if they are good, they will be back to the society. If they are bad, again Lord Krishna is there to wipe them out. So that will be the understanding. And when you say the bad consequences of the war, and therefore again, as you said, Arjuna is not to worry about the result, and the result will be different from what he thinks. Shanta Madam was also in tune with Keshav Das Swami's question. What will be the bad consequence of the war?
You're asking me what are the bad consequences of that?
Mm.
Well, I think I agree with Malini there. Just leave it to God. He will take care. He will protect. That is total
That is-
surrender. I think Malini's one sentence answers everything I feel.
that
That
is the right
that is
way of
total
understanding.
surrender and trust in God. Whatever He says, just have total faith and total surrender. I think then God will take care. That's
Today, someone was advising me, sir, you are now above age of 60 years. Be more careful when you go out. Wear the mask. Don't get closer to anyone in breath. Keep a social distancing and try to save yourself without being affected by the virus, coronavirus. I said, come what may. He said, this is not the right attitude, but God, I said, God is there to protect us.
Yeah, in my case, Swami, I want to go even one further. When in my case, I was snatched off my gold chain, which has got about 80 grams or so. That happened on the 29th of April. Whenever I go out for a walk or whenever I get up to the house, I go offer my prayer, take care of me. I did that too on that day. But it happened to me. So then I came to the realization, this jewelry was not meant to be. That is kind of God is telling me, come on, detach yourself. Don't get into this material world. It's not important. At least I got saved. I was not killed. I was not something that didn't happen. It happened so smoothly. I didn't know how she took it. The gold chain. She just came, jumped quickly, and it went so smoothly. That still didn't bother me. That I think I still. So the jnanam was there to give that jnanam itself, to give that strength itself. Is God's grace. That's all. I can get angry with God, but I cannot, because at least I'm protected. I have the jnanam to carry on my life. So there is a reason for which God did it. That's all I thought, and I surrendered. Yeah.
I get angry with a statement in Sanskrit. Many people say, many elders say, Yasya anugraham karomi, tasya vittam aham harami. Lord says, whenever I want to bless some people, I take away their wealth.
Oh, okay. I see. That's a good one. That's a very good.
Because I get angry with that statement. But the statement becomes true on many occasions.
Yeah.
Everyone in every family must have had some loss or other of some wealth. Or, for example, I can also quote Keshav Das Swami, who had to spend a lot of money in returning to Hawaii from India, from Srirangam. He had to pay through the nose twice the fare, airfare. Now, this all happened.
Yeah.
This is, of course, very simple. It's very simple. But there are so many hard facts faced. When the hard facts are faced, then our belief in God sometimes may get reduced. The faith.
Yeah.
Rakshishyati iti mahavishwasa gets diluted. Diluted. That should not happen in anybody's case. We also had some, personally we had some loss. When I inquired my colleagues about our own bad investments in private companies which went bankrupt, I was not very happy, but not a sadistic pleasure. But I was surprised to know that every one of my colleagues had such a same loss. They also invested in wrong places and then lost them, LOST. So they lost the investment. Not that I was very much satisfied with everybody else's loss, but I was also shocked and surprised to know each one has got a setback. That setback in the life is also one of the what we call the consequence of the sins committed in the earlier birth. And though loss of money, it makes us, it gives us mental pain. It is a mental suffering. This is again what we call, you can say, adhyatma. Otherwise called Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, and Adhyatmikam. There are three words which tell us the common disasters that baffle in the individual.
कवितार्किकसिंहाय कल्याणगुणशालिने श्रीमते वेङ्कटेशाय वेदान्तगुरवे नमः।